Ryan here from the Saucy Boys. I'm starting a rimworld narrative gameplay. We're using my custom solo experience for maximum suffering. Of course on commitment mode with Randy Random on full savage difficulty. Just get a good character going here. This works. He will be Keven. We are going to follow Keven here, the psychopathic, pragmatic, absolute madman. This is Keven's story. The first thing Keven does in the mountain range is checks out the ancient danger to make sure it's an ancient danger, to know he should stay away from it. Definitely stay away from that. Then he does some housekeeping matters, and sets up a place to stay for the night in an abandoned shelter. He decides he needs to get some materials for the future. These will provide useful and future endeavors. Keven, the somewhat paranoid man he is, decides to block off part of the valley. In all of the fun of the first day, Keven forgot that he was starving to death, so he built a bow and went out to go murder a turkey so he can eat. After some time, he managed to sit down, the poor turkey. This is where I realize I'm in development mode. Oops, 15 minutes of fiddling around later. Keven rectifies his starving predicament and proceeds to go build a new storage building for his supplies. With this new storage building complete, Keven figures he should build a more permanent residence for himself. He builds a trap for down the line. Keven doesn't pay much attention to the passers-by, but this raccoon will nourish him for the next day or two. Finally downing the raccoon, Keven murders the poor beast so he can eat. Soon after that, some bulk good traders come by. These could be useful to Keven. With not much to trade, Keven decides he'll take use of these bulk good traders by more unethical means. He finds this megasloth, sizes it up to make sure it won't run him down, provokes the megasloth via percussive interaction, and has the megasloth chase him to the bulk goods trader. Keven knows that the bulk goods trader's weaponry is much more advanced than his own, and their numbers make the megasloth quite a trivial foe. Keven doesn't engage in the firefight for fear of accident or friendly fire, which the other faction would probably not be too keen on. With Keven's food taken care of for the next couple of days, he now has time to focus on other matters, like housekeeping. With all those rocks in the doorways, it can hamper his movement, so he decides he'll move them outdoors. But food isn't taken care of forever, so he decides to build a farm when some space chunks fall nearby. Keven takes a look at them and decides they'll be useful for future deconstruction. With a little bit more bunny murder out of the way and his farm coming along quite nicely. Having the farm planted, Keven decides that he should go do a little bit of mining, which he does for a few hours. Sorting out resources for future projects, he decides to put in a research table. Some visitors come by that he decides he should check if he can trade with them. He trades with them, and they don't have much to offer. He does take a look at the Luciferium, though. He's heard stories about that, ruining lives. This is when Randy decides that Keven should have a friend, potentially, which would probably work fairly well because he seems to be an intelligent individual, which would be useful for researching, potentially getting him to that technology that he saw the bulk goods traders had. Keven captures the man that fell out of the sky, then he tends to his wounds. He doesn't give him medicine because that's for important people. Keven does a fabulous job doctoring, in part due to his lack of medicine. Keven decides he should research stone cutting, so he can build a more fire-resilient and less destructive home. Shortly after, the man that fell out of the sky gets an infection in his right leg. Instead of simply cutting off the leg like a normal psychopath, Keven decides that he'll go full madman and organ murder this poor man. By organ murdering this unfortunate soul, Keven kills two birds with one stone. By stealing this man's organs, Keven gains a new source of revenue for when more traders show up, and as you can see, he gets some much needed surgical practice as well. Due to this man's unfortunate situation, Keven decides to go all in, and let's just say it didn't end well for the man who fell out of the sky. Because this man did not wrong Keven, he will respect his body. Keven thinks about the ancient danger and how he will pacify the residents and loot the contents in the future. But that can wait. Keven needs to designate where he will clean in the meantime. Keven dreams about all the atrocities that he will commit in order to get off this forsaken planet. Keven sees a massive solar flare from the sun. These could be dangerous once he's relying on electronics. With no food left on the floor, Keven takes the only logical step and murders the gazelle. With the solar flare ended and Keven, hungry again, decides to murder a turtle. The first of many raids. What will Keven do to fight them off? Keven prepares by napping. The raider finally decides to attack. Keven, being a quite swift individual, decides to attempt the good old shoot and run tactic. However, it appears this newcomer is quite swift as well, so Keven logically lures him into the trap. The trap did end up proving useful. It even cut off the man's leg. Keven uses the new room and some of his newly trained doctoring skill to tend to this new prisoner, who he's not quite sure if he's going to recruit or not. I'm going to let you decide whether this newcomer should live or not, and his name if you do decide he should live. Naturally, this new prisoner gets an infection in his head this time. If we were to cure him, we would have to tend to his infection. That concludes the first episode of Keven's exploits in rimworld. If you enjoyed, make sure to dislike, unsubscribe, and delete your comments. Ryan out.